Hi, I'm Danielle Dietrich. Today we are going to talk about recertification for DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Companies. So, if you are a business owner and your company is certified as a DBE, you may wonder, can the certifying agency require me to provide all this stuff every year, or to reapply every year to maintain my eligibility? Because, well, there's some certifying agencies that kind of do that. And the new DBE regulations that went active in May on May 9th really help clarify this situation. This has been something that has plagued a lot of my clients when it comes time for recertification every year. They have been asked for a tremendous amount of documents, almost like another certification every year. And that's simply not warranted by the regulations either before or after. But the new regulations make it much more clear. So this pattern was also, you can see the history of this in the U.S. Department of Transportation appeal decisions, which I've read all that I can get my hands on. I request them every few months from the U.S. DOT. We see so many instances where the U.S. DOT is pushing back at the certifying agency saying, you are not allowed to put these companies through essentially recertification every year, asking for a boatload of paperwork every year for the renewal. They're already certified. Um, so, this is something I think that the US DOT saw as a headache for themselves and thought maybe that they could clarify it in the new regulations to hopefully cut down on the amount of appeals they get on this issue. So, according to the newly revised regulations, DBEs are not required to reapply, renew certification, or undergo recertification every year. What they are required to provide to their certifier is the new Annual Declaration of Eligibility, DOE. And I can put a link to that down below. And you also have to have documentation of the company's gross receipts for the most recently completed fiscal year. And there's a couple different formats that can come in. Most people just use the tax return. So the certifier is, of course, the agency that granted your DBE certification, such as the state transportation department or a transit authority. So this new DOE, even I get mixed up with the acronym sometimes, is a sworn statement that there have been no changes in the DBE's circumstances affecting its eligibility, or that any changes that there haven't been any changes reported to the certifier. So this DOE replaces the annual affidavit of years past. And when it comes to the gross receipts and how that's calculated, under the regulations, they make clear that those gross receipts are now calculated on a cash basis. Prior regulations were silent on this point, and they wanted to allow for some uniform application of the rules. So gross receipts are calculated on cash basis, and that is regardless of the overall accounting method that is used by the DBE. So even if the DBE doesn't operate on a cash basis, if they operate on an accrual basis, the gross receipts still have to be calculated on a cash basis. That's also important to let your accountant know when it comes time to make those calculations. And in addition to the DOE and the gross receipts, DBEs do always have the obligation to notify the certifier of any material changes affecting their continued eligibility. This has not changed. This has always been the case, but this is a reminder for you. And you have to notify of a material change within 30 days of the occurrence. So say there was a instance where you sold part of your company, you do need to report that to your certifying agency within 30 days. And so, changes in ownership, control, management, business activities of the DBE, so that you do have to report those. And when you report those, you do need to make sure that you also have a new declaration of eligibility. So what about certification reviews? So previously, there really wasn't provisions for certification reviews done by the certifying agency at whatever basis. And so the new regulations help clean this up a little bit too. It says the certifier may conduct a certification review at any reasonable time or at regular intervals, but those intervals have to be at least 2 years apart to verify the DBE's eligibility. So every year, not going to happen, but every 2 years, they are allowed to do that. And the review may require a new on-site review, which is usually actually not on-site, but virtual, of the DBE's office and records. Or the certifier may rely on another certifier's report of an on-site review. So a secondary state where you are certified through interstate certification they're allowed to rely on your home state's on-site review. And if there is an issue, the certifier does have to follow the process for decertification of written notice with evidence and allow you the opportunity to appeal. So, while the question about whether certifier can require a DBE to recertify every year is no, you do still have the obligations to require with annual and ongoing reporting and documentation obligations, and be prepared for a certification review at any time. And this process is designed to ensure that only eligible firms benefit from the DBE program and that the program goals are met. So I know that this can be a headache. This is where a lot of folks reach out to me when their certifying agency starts asking them for more and more information each year at different times throughout the year, and they're fearing a potential decertification. That is a great time to reach out to me and get me involved so that I can help you provide the proper documentation, even if I'm not involved in corresponding with the certifying agency, but I help you get the right information in place, phrase things properly, and help, kind of behind the scenes, help you advocate for yourself. So that's a great time to reach out to me. Just as any other time when you have a question or issue involving DBE certification, those are my clients. That's who I like to help. So please reach out to me. Thank you. We'll see you next time.